So firstly, Trevor is a good friend of mine. As well as being a producer, he's working closely with my daughter, Sienna, at the moment. He's got a background in health and well-being, and because he was in the location, I thought bring him in, because obviously that's a big part of mental health. So he's going to say a few words as well, and he's going to talk a little bit about what we're doing for the business. Obviously, I'm no expert on mental health. I can only always talk about my own experiences, and today's Mental Health Awareness Week, and the action, apparently, is action for yourself, for someone else, and for all of us. I'm sure we all know someone that's affected by mental health. I always kind of relate things to my own experiences. As you all know, without going into the whole story, I've been through quite ups and downs in life, losing everything. You go through, challenging times. So for me, it affected me probably depression-wise. It hits you. I went through a little patch of very, very bad depression for a space of only a few weeks, but it seemed like a lifetime. Obviously, mental health affects you from different ways, whether it's financial, whether it's your health, family, friends. It can affect you in different ways, and everyone deals with it differently. With depression, I think is what I found from my own experience. I would say you have to help yourself. Like, I remember when I was going through it, I had my mum coming around, putting her arm around the shoulder. Don't worry, everything's going to be all right. Although I had like 20 million quid of debt, it weren't going to be all right here in my head. But you have people close to you that want to put their arm around you and trying to help you. But what I realised quickly, that although it felt good at the time because you want that comfort and people around you, it's actually not helping you, because you're getting comforted by the support, but you have to come to a realization that the only one that's going to get you out of it is yourself. So for me, as much as it was nice to have the support, it was a point when I thought I have to get out of it, and slowly, thanks to the support of my family and friends, I got out of it. But I think, I was reading some stats the other day, and I was looking at a few things, and I didn't realize when I read the stats that 3/4 of the suicides are by men. Crazy. Unbelievable when I read that. They were talking about 84% of employees faced mental health challenges last year. And I think there is a stigma around men talking about mental health, because we want to be seen as, we're the man and all the rest of it. A bit egotistic sometimes, I suppose, but it's a reality, and people are scared to talk about it. I know it's quite strange, because sometimes you could have someone in the workforce that could be the joker, but they're hiding it from outside, looking like everything's all good, but inside they're going through their own things, I guess. And I was thinking a little bit, and I know Anthony will touch on it a bit more, about work and what we can do, and basic little things. I was thinking about, just leaving your office to have lunch, and some of us are workaholics, we want to do, but I think it's so important to get out for lunch, a bit of fresh air, bit of the occasional sun, if we see it here anyway, but that fresh air is so important, firstly. And the other thing, which maybe the mean bosses would probably say the opposite, but I'm the other side of things. I think emails after work, weekends, don't get me wrong, there's emergencies, you have to deal with stuff, right? But I think it's fair to say, when you get an email on a Sunday night or a Friday night, it's a pain in the ass, right? And you get anxiety. We all do. I don't even want to look at it, even me. So I think limit the emails unless it's urgent, although, like I said, if it's urgent, of course you're going to deal with it, because that creates that bad feeling. You've had a break. The worst thing is you're on a Sunday night, you're thinking, I'm stressing going into work. So try and limit that, and try and stay in contact with your colleagues. I think, that rapport, if you see someone that doesn't look right, things are not, you don't always see it. And I've personally lost 2 or 3 friends to suicide. One guy, a few years ago, he used to work here. I've known him for like 10-15 years. He had mental health issues, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my office upstairs, and he came in, he goes, "Mario, do you want a cup of tea?" I don't drink tea anyway. I said, no, I'm all right, thank you. But I looked at him, his face looked a bit strange. Didn't know what happened, he just looked unusual. So I carried on with my busy life, and he just left strangely. That was it. Went home, went to bed, and that night I got a phone call from my brother that he'd taken his life the same night. And I felt guilty because I didn't even give him the time. So he just wanted to maybe reach out, but I was so busy. Although he was only asking me if I wanted a drink, he probably wanted a bit of time from me, which I didn't know how deep things were. And obviously we lost Paul, who used to be our MD to mental health. He suffered it for many years. So, it can happen to anyone, whether, if you've got any addiction, drugs, gambling, whatever it may be. But I think trying to communicate with people that are close to you is all I can say, because it can happen to anyone, no matter what position you're in, rich, poor, it happens to anyone. Sport's a big part for me, and I'm not saying this for everybody. When I went through what I went through, if I didn't train, I would have been dead. That's the truth, because that was my outlet. Everyone's got a different outlet. It may be a hobby, it might be cooking, it might be whatever it may be. For me, it was hitting the gym, boom. It was like that kind of endorphins was. So I think sport is a really, really big part. And if we can do more in the business to encourage any sort of activities, whether it's mental or physical, that's going to help you, then let us know. Don't be scared to try and reach out and see if there's any other things that we can do. But I don't know, Trevor, did you want to talk, or did you want to talk last? What you go after, yeah?
Hello everyone. So I'm gonna stay seated. I'm just gonna scribble my way over. The standing makes me feel nervous. Seating now I can actually kind of feel a bit grounded. Yeah.
Better?
That's it. So my story is quite deep. I'm gonna see if I can blast through it and drop some gems at the same time. Yeah, I started in the music very young. Coming up literally through the church route. My mum and dad, they were pastors in the church and so forth, and being also jazz and classically trained. I was a bit of a prodigy. I was playing grand piano for the Queen's mother at the age of 13 in the Royal Albert Hall. So I was this sort of prodigy that was moving me around the place. I was traveling early and got into productions pretty early. The falsities of what the industry was showing me at the time in terms of what to value as being you was all subject to status. You buy into this idea of my status is who I am, and the minute that status gets pulled from underneath your feet, the anxiety comes. Oh my gosh, I'm no longer this, I'm no longer that. I was actually a suicidal case myself, just to put it out there. And what I'd done to reverse that, I ended up in the Himalayas. Just to plug out of a system where I thought I couldn't get any answers. And what drove me to suicide at the time, I was doing quite well in the music business. And then I was ripped off from big projects like doing Peter Andre, Mysterious Girl. The missus at the time, she ran off with the kids in another relationship. It just was all on top and so forth and then left with all the financial strains of trying to balance the house and this and that. After going to the Himalayas, I ended up going to Regent's College to get a degree in psychology and so forth, so that I started to travel backwards and forwards and study Vedanta to understand consciousness as a whole. And when it comes to mental health, the key thing is self-value. Self-value is a big major part of you keeping yourself together. And we normally sell this concept of trying to create a self-value through the perception of others. What do you think of me? Do you like me? Blah, blah, blah. And we lose a sort of pivotal understanding of what we truly are. I don't want to get too religious or too fanatical with it in one sense, but at the true sense, because this has all been scientifically mapped out as well. So I've gone to the depth of studying the science of it and neurology and so forth. And I run retreats now in Portugal. I do about 5 retreats a year. Also got into sound healing, got special Tibetan bowls made. Very powerful. And to see how sound resonates and affects the body, the mind, the metaphysical connection between the two is a very powerful thing. And simple little things like your ability to laugh shows your true value. If you don't have the ability to laugh, you don't like yourself. This is a deep thing. And promoting laughter, connectivity, and growth, especially in your environment. So I went as far as studying the chakras and so forth and all of these things. So and this is like a, a lot of people would say that's woo-woo science, but there is a lot of applicable, practical sense to it. So just to give you a little understanding of how the base root chakra works, it's got 4 corners, 4 pillars. The first pillar is how much do you love yourself? How much do you love yourself? And we get lost in understanding what does this word love means. So breaking it down as an acronym, I've broken it down to life's optimum vibratory energy. Take all the fanatical essence about it. How much can you enjoy life's optimum vibratory energy? It's quite, you can, so how much can you enjoy that for yourself? That's the first quadrant. The next quadrant is how safe do you feel in your environment? Yeah. The next one is how safe do you feel communicating with others in this environment? And the final one is how safe do you feel growing in that environment? If any of these 4 quadrants are shaky, mental health, physical health, anything called health is going to collapse. So as a metaphysical sort of, or a sort of mental note, if you can keep a resonance about this for yourself, to keep a check note, are you laughing enough? Are you enjoying yourself enough? Are you treating yourself enough? Are you waiting for somebody to give you the opportunity to treat yourself? Also, make sure that your environment stimulates you, keeping it clean, keeping it fresh air and stuff like that is very important. Communicating with others and encouraging others, talking, unifying. These things are really key importance. And also, if you're talking to other people about what could be their problems, that if you examine these 4 quadrants, you might find a way to create a thread to help them out of the situation that they're in and help them build a steady platform towards higher states of being. Because on that lower vibration, if you don't have those things locked in as a way of being, there's no way you can resonate from the heart, for instance. And most people are stuck on a lower level just trying to sort these 4 quadrants out and getting confused thinking that's the whole of life. That's just the basics. So I don't want to go on too long. But simple things like checking in the morning. When you wake up, the first thing that you tell yourself on the pillar is very important. Encourage yourself to love yourself with the first breath that you take. Yeah? Encourage yourself to love yourself with the first breath that you take. Don't wake up and start thinking about problems and this and that and what am I going to do? Oh, it's late. What am I going to feed the kids? Blah, blah, blah. Encourage yourself to love yourself with your first breath. That's really key to start triggering a pattern of well-being throughout the whole day. You have to be grounded within you. You have to value you first. And once that's written on your face, everybody else will value you. If you look, do you value me? That sign of desperation. It's written all over your face. You're greater than your status, and you need to tap into that. Understand that all the labels that the world can give you, they're insignificant to what you truly are. Yeah? Right, I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Mario. So yeah, basically I'm just going to give you a brief spiel about what Caridon can offer with regards to support. So first of all, we have mental health first aiders who are trained, voluntary. They're your colleagues, so they're within the business. I'm not going to name their names now, but if you do want to have a discussion with any of them, come and see HR and we'll signpost you in their direction. Secondly, through the Assistance Employee Programme, which is via Health Shield, we have counselling service where you can get 8 sessions for free, and obviously that's going to be by qualified professionals. Exercise is good for your mental health. There's also gym discounts. To finish off on Health Shield, there are self-care tips that tells you how to plan your day, your working day, what to do to alleviate stress. On Illumi there is a short mental health course that will just give you the more depth of knowledge so you can become aware of it, identify it in somebody else. And also the football as well, like these boys do. I mean, I don't know if anybody else, and you should open it up to the women as well, just get out there, play football. Exercise is good for the brain. It sets you up for the day.
Yeah, thank you. It'd be good to hear if there's any other ideas, right? Because you've all worked maybe in different places. You may come to work and think, what else could we do? So if you're going through something that's financial, what to do? You know, if you're going through something financial, I can talk to you myself because I've been through it as an example. If you're going through something health-wise, for example, there's people in the business, we've got people on the board as well. We've got Richard Pasiti that works for Mind. He's very in the know and knows how to deal with things. The worst thing we can do is keep it inside. That's the worst thing. It's the worst thing that you can do. That's what makes you ill. And I know it's hard because not everyone wants to talk about these things. We've got a link there for donations to mental health. Whatever you donate, I will match. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you for your time again. Let's have something to eat. Thank you.